What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another review for Monday Night Raw. This one is from February 20th, 1995. Tonight is a big night. We have Diesel versus Jeff Jarrett for the WWF title. Shawn Michaels unveils his new bodyguard on King's Court, and the return to action of Bam Bam Bigelow. They throw to some pre-recorded messages from the two guys in the title match, and both of them just say that they're going to win and give a reason why. The first match of the night is Bam Bam Bigelow in a squash match. Bigelow has still been egging on Lawrence Taylor to step into the ring, and Taylor has been having his legal team speak for him, asking for Bigelow to cease and desist the challenges. LT coming off as a big pussy if you ask me, but Bigelow hits the flying headbutt for the win. This is about a month away from WrestleMania. To be honest, I've forgotten that he lost horribly at the Rumble to the 1-2-3 Kid. I guess as long as you build someone back up after a loss, they don't lose much. Almost like when I said back after the Royal Rumble, when IRS had lost to The Undertaker at the pay-per-view, they gave him a squash match the next night. And as long as you keep them, winning on TV, a loss or two on pay-per-views isn't really going to hurt them as much as if they're just losing all the time. Like, for example, the guy that there's a conspiracy against, I know, by the name of Barry Horowitz. Bam Bam also gets on the mic after the match and continues to call out Lawrence Taylor and calls him a wimp. That's what I said. I mean, I used a different word for it, but all is the same. Next up, we have Adam Bomb in a jobber match as well. He hits a clothesline from the top rope and picks up the win. For some reason, Vince McMahon keeps telling us that they're in Macon, Georgia. Who cares? They keep going back to this. We get an award ceremony from a WWF Superstars taping. Bret Hart gets the WWF Magazine People Award, whatever that means. One thing I like from an otherwise boring speech is that he brought up that he still is looking to become WWF champion. Most times you have people who don't have feuds going on, just happy to be there, but I appreciate that Bret is still focused on the championship. Since there's another contender in the picture right now, he still has his eyes set on that, which is the main thing that every superstar should really be going after. Vince welcomes us back to the Macon Arena for King's Court. Jerry is hating on Bret for winning the award and calls him a racist. I have no idea where the fuck that came from. But before he can explain, Shawn's music hits. HBK brags about his looks and skills, noting that he's got a target on him since winning the Rumble, and it's going to become a bigger target when he wins the WWF title. So that's why he found someone to watch his back. He introduces the big, the bad, the vicious Sid, who I personally am a fan of. They give each other a high five, emphasis on the high. Sid gives that special stare into the camera. He explained why he's the bodyguard and why he is trusted by Shawn. Now, if you have ever heard a Sid promo, you know it's complete nonsense, but amazing at the same time. And this was no different. So basically, Shawn trusts him because Sid doesn't care about a living soul, and by each other's side, they will rule over the WWF. Not sure where Sid was before showing up here. I don't know if he was at WCW or just not in the wrestling business for a while, but I believe the last time that he was in the WWF was in 1992. He might have been in a softball league for all I know. But I believe the last time that he was in the WWF was in 1992, the infamous WrestleMania 8 main event where Papa Shango was in the back eating Cheetos and forgot his cue. But I've been watching some WCW shows from this era and Sid hasn't been there, so maybe I'll call Dave Meltzer and see if he can help me out. Anyways, next up we have the Blue Brothers, accompanied by Sebakaya, making their Raw debut. They were in the Royal Rumble and got absolutely no reaction, but in this match, an awful looking spinebuster followed by a leg drop for the win. They get mesmerized by the camera, and to get them to respond to him, Seb has to pull them off. And then when they get to the back, I'm pretty sure he had to pull them off in another kind of way. Moving on, we have the main event, or at least it might be, or like they've done before, they'll fucking throw a 2 to 3 minute match in at the end for absolutely no reason. Before this match even started, I in my head had already said this cannot end clean since Jeff Jarrett is also a champion and Diesel is not losing this belt before he gets to WrestleMania. Into the match, Diesel with some early offense until he gets distracted by the roadie. Jeff with his strut, thinking he outsmarted the big man, but Diesel grabs him and tosses him into the corner and delivers some elbows. Diesel catches the roadie and knocks him off the apron. Then he sends Jeff into him on the outside. Later in the match, the roadie is holding on to Jeff Jarrett and gets kicked by the ref so that he can let go. Funny moment there. I'm good with the ref getting involved like that, obviously making sure that nobody's interfering with the match, at least showing some sort of control. After a commercial, Jeff takes control after a couple behind the ref moves from himself and the roadie. Diesel powers out of a pin after a crossbody from the top. Diesel gets his comeback going and ends it with a big boot. He calls for it and hits the jackknife, and to my surprise, he pins the Intercontinental Champion clean and retains the WWF title. The roadie tries to attack him after but gets dropped, and he gets a knack jive for his troubles as well. Diesel celebrates in what I thought was a decent TV title match. Shawn Michaels and Sid walk halfway down the ramp to stare down Diesel. Jim Cornette then gets a mic while sitting on commentary, and we just see Sid and Shawn still standing where they were by the entrance. Shawn and Sid start walking towards commentary, and Cornette gets scared because Sid is a nut job and doesn't want to be near him. But Shawn assured him that he's safe and just says that Sid is better than Diesel. Then we see a recap of the feud between Lex Luger and Tatanka going back to SummerSlam of last year, all the way up to a couple days ago where Tatanka assaulted his former mentor Chief Jay Strongbow. So, for the 100th episode next week, we will have Chief Jay Strongbow accompanying Lex Luger for his match against Tatanka. What an exciting match to look forward to next week, right? Yeah, okay. I'm going to be skipping that thanks to my skip list. But that's how the show ends. You know what? Looking back at it, the Jeff Jarrett and Diesel WWF title match was pretty good for a Raw episode, especially them actually doing a clean finish, or as clean as could be. I think Brody was obviously still involved in that, and then we had the surprise of Sid on the King's Court being Shawn's new bodyguard. And yeah, well, this celebrity match isn't really intriguing at all, especially to me. You still had Bam Bam Bigelow, furthering the feud with LT. Bret Hart was also featured, and besides the two other quick jobber matches, most things had a spot on the show. So, you know what? I'm gonna give this a great rating. The first one in quite a while. I think the last time that I did was in 1993 for one of those episodes. I believe the last great episode I did was when Razor Ramon and X-Pac, or the 1-2-3 Kid, had their rematch from when the Kid beat Razor on that episode of Raw. I think it was the second. I think it was the rematch. It wasn't the first one. I think it was the rematch, and then like the Kid sped off or something with his money. I don't know. Go look it up. I might, if I remember, I'll find out which one it was, and I'll leave a link to it or something, so you guys can go just check out either the review or the actual episode. The last show that I thought was actually a pretty decent show all the way through, which I'm gonna say this one was actually just as good as that one, if not a little bit better, just because I think obviously it's a lot fresher in our mind. So yeah, we had a decent match, a decent segment, and furthering a couple other storylines. So you know what? For 45 minutes and for what we have been getting, I'm gonna say this episode actually is gonna get a good grade or a great rating. And they do it one episode before the 100th episode, which is kind of weird. I bet you the 100th episode is gonna be trash. So it's still good, giving them a great episode before WrestleMania or on the road to WrestleMania. That's pretty good in my books. So with that being said, I'm done giving out handouts. Next episode, you got a high bar set already. So let's see if they can surpass and be another great episode. I doubt that because they're doing Tatanka versus Lex Luger, but hey, you never know. I didn't think I was going to get a great episode this one, and look what happened. So yeah, with all that being said, I am out.